Good morning, Steve Jolly with Benchmark Realty, and welcome to the Music City Show. Thank you for tuning in this morning. We have a great show lined up for you. We're going to talk about our three monster size trends that have been accelerated in this market shift. We're going to go over the weekly numbers so you can see what the market looks like, and then I'll give you a peek into what we're going to be talking about next week. Sounds good? All right, well, let's dive in. So the first thing I want to talk about is these three monster-sized trends that have been accelerated by this market shift. Now, these trends were already in place before this crisis, so I expected that to be even further for these trends to grow in size, to be further changed, to be further accelerated by this market shift. And so let's kind of dive into them, right? So the first one I'm calling major metro moves. So from 2010 to 2015, there was a huge emphasis on people moving into the urban core, into downtown areas. All that started to change around 2015. I think my guess would be due to higher prices and less inventory in those areas. And so people started focusing on the mid-sized major metro areas, the emerging suburbs, and the exurbs, which are kind of like I would call them distant suburbs. So major metro, the focus has shifted off of that starting in 2015 and more focus on the mid-sized metro areas, merging suburbs, and exurbs. Nashville kind of bucked the trend because we have over 1 million people in our metro area. We're considered a major metro, but we've kind of bucked the trend on as far as growing. So we're a little bit different because we're still attracting jobs, but I still think this trend is going to have some effect on us. Those other things that go along with this trend are kind of part of it. Is people moving from the crowded coast into the heartland, people moving from higher density areas to lower density areas. And so the biggest concern for me through this one trend is going to be in the downtown Nashville condo market. What's going to happen there if people decide they don't want to live downtown anymore? And most of those condos right now cannot be used for Airbnb. So what's going to happen to the prices downtown Nashville? That's one of my big concerns. So let's move on to the second trend. The $6 trillion hangover. That's what I'm calling a combination of $3 trillion in stimulus and plus an additional $3 trillion in quantitative easing. And what that is, what QE is, it's when the Federal Reserve prints money and buys bonds and buys stocks in order to keep the prices of those products up. So they're printing money to do this. They're printing money for the stimulus money we don't have. And what that causes is inflation. Now, inflation is not going to happen tomorrow or even next year. But as we start to recover, you're going to see higher prices. And that means not only higher prices in the goods and services, but higher home prices, which in turn is going to mean higher rent prices. And it's also going to mean increased interest rates. Now, the bonus of all this is that most people consider real estate a hedge against inflation. So it is going to drive more people to buy real estate, which of course is going to cause higher prices. But my concern for folks would be is don't delay. So if you are considering making a move anytime in the next 5 years, you may want to move your plans up because if prices go up and interest rate goes up, that really reduces your purchasing power. You may, although you can afford it today, 2 or 3 years down the road from now, you may not be able to afford that same house that you want to move to. So keep that in mind. If you're planning on making a move anytime in the next 5 years, I would think about accelerating those plans. Let's move to trend number 3, the work from home trend. Back in 2016, for the first time in our history, we had 5% of people, or at least the first time in modern history, we had 5% of the people working from home. And it was a trend that was building. In 2019, we had gone from 5% up to 15% of people working from home. Right now in 2020, due to the crisis we're in, we have 50% of the population, of the working population, is working from home. So we've gone from 5 to 50% in 4 years. Also, we have, on top of that, we have companies like Twitter and like Nationwide that tell their folks that they don't have to come back to the office anytime in the future if they don't want to. They can continue to work from home because they've seen that working from home has been profitable and beneficial to them. So if people are going to be more working from home, and 82% of the people have also said recently that they want to work from home at least one day a week. So that's another growing trend. So all that's going to change what we think of a home and what we want from our homes. I think home offices are going to be more important. There's also going to be a huge push for broadband and 5G, especially in rural areas that don't have it right now. If you're going to work from home, you definitely have to have broadband, or otherwise it's just going to be a struggle to work from home. I think other places in the home that's going to be more important are home gyms. People aren't going to want to go to crowded gyms anymore. And private outdoor spaces. We want our own little sanctuary that we can come home to after the day and feel safe and feel at peace. I guess the last thing this work from home I think is going to also cause is to lead to more generational housing. With the problems that we've had at nursing homes and skilled care facilities, with so many people getting infected there, I think people are going to be afraid to put their friends and family and their loved ones into these nursing homes in the near future. And this multi-generational house is a trend that's been around for a few years also. So I think that is going to be another driving factor. So where's the bonus coming out of this? Well, I think possibly maybe the McMansions in the suburbs. People have kind of shied away from those in the last 5 years in the trend to move downtown. But those are the homes in the areas where people are moving to. They have the extra space for an office and maybe even a home gym. And a lot of them have extra space for family to live to if you need to have multi-generational housing. So I think this work from home trend is going to create a lot of things in the home that we don't particularly like now that we're going to really want in the future. This also brings me back to my downtown condos. So if more people are working from home, that means fewer people are going into the office. That means fewer companies need this massive amount of office space. So the first thing I thought of, okay, if all these downtown buildings don't have the need for office space because they don't have clients for that, the next best thing they could turn into would possibly be to repurpose them for residential housing. But if people don't want to live downtown, that's another issue. Because currently, right now, they cannot be used for Airbnb in Nashville. So we have a couple of choices. They could be used for downtown office, downtown condos. What's going to happen to these buildings? It's too early to tell, but it's something definitely we need to keep our eye on. And I'll be doing that for you. And so next week, a little bit, we're going to talk about how you can profit from these shifts in the Nashville area. So let's dive into the market update for this week. So sales, the overall trend is flat, although we are coming closer to closing that gap between 2018 and 2019. The overall trend in sales is still flat. So we need, there is still some uncertainty in the market, and so that is part of the issue. But we definitely need more listings. That's probably the biggest part of the issue. The lack of listings is causing sales because we have plenty of demand, and I'll show you that in a minute. Let's take a look at new listings. So since I was just talking about those, we're seeing a slightly positive trend coming out of the stay-at-home order. So a slightly positive trend. We're again closing that gap between 2020 and 2019, but we still have a little work to do. So that's a little bit of good news there. We certainly could use some more. Showings, this is where the demand really shows. So we've had a 6-week gain, so 6 weeks in a row of positive, and we should expect that at this time of year because this is the high season for sales. But 2 weeks in a row, we've surpassed 2019 in the number of showings. So it's proof of the strong demand out there, proof that people are wanting to see homes, wanting to purchase homes, even at a time where people are afraid to even get outside of their own place. Strong demand. And here's another indicator of that is the homes under contract. Another area where we're seeing 6 weeks of straight gains. And we've been for a month, we've been ahead of 2019 as far as homes under contract. Now, how long can that keep up without new listings hitting the market? I don't know. We're still the number of homes that go under contract each week are still slightly less than the number of homes that are being listed every week. So we're kind of covering our bases, but we need more really to grow that. And And so we'll need more new listings if this market's going to continue to grow and recover and pull us out of the funk that we're in right now. So one last thing before I go is if you are a numbers nerd or a data geek like I guess I am, then you want to see what the numbers are behind this, go to musiccityshow.com. You can see all these charts that I share with you. You can hover over them and they'll share with you the data for every year, every week. And you can just get more information. So if you want to see that, and you want to see more information about the housing market, go to musiccityshow.com. You can even watch a replay of this show here today. And last, I want to talk about what's going on next week. So next week, I want to talk about how you can benefit from these monster-sized trends in Nashville. Not only how, but where. Where are the hot areas going to be over the next decade? Where are the hot properties going to be over the next decade? And where I see places where you can benefit and where you can profit in Nashville. So thank you for tuning into the Music City Show. I 100% appreciate your loyalty. If you have any questions, feel free to text or call me at 615-257-9996. Otherwise, take care and peace and love, y'all.